So what should you stock in a pharmacy? When you're thinking about stocking a pharmacy, I would recommend that you don't buy a very large stock. Someone was telling me that they were advised to maybe start with stock of 10 million. That is too much. You need to start with a smaller stock, because at the time you're stocking, you do not yet know what kind of customers you have at the pharmacy. You do not know the kind of clientele you have. In some areas, people prefer to buy maybe a drug that could be fast moving. In this area will be paracetamol, and then in another area the drug that could be fast moving is diclofenac. So if you stock so much of paracetamol, and you find that it will expire on your shelves. So stock little as you're studying your market, as you're getting to see which drug are people more interested in. Then you can now begin to stock more of that, and it will be a more cost-effective use of your money than stocking so much and having it stay on the shelf and probably expire on the shelf, because the people within your area are not buying that kind of drug. So it is not good to just get a list from somewhere. Don't get a list from someone's pharmacy and say, okay, well, when these people were stocking, they stocked maybe, let's say, 20 boxes of calcium, and their calcium is moving. What moves in this location is not what moves in another location. Your locations are totally different. Maybe this person is near a place that has very many pregnant women, and so you're going to stock your calcium and no one is going to buy. Maybe it's near a place where people have issues with their bones, or there is already market for the calcium and it's being prescribed. And for you in your area, what is fast moving could be emergency contraceptive pills, because your area is probably near a university and has a lot of students that use these emergency contraceptive pills. So don't just stock or copy paste based on someone's list. You need to stock few and then build based on what your clients are asking for. So the most commonly stocked things that you need to consider when you're stocking at the beginning are painkillers. The painkillers, you can think of the most common ones that we know: paracetamol, ibuprofen, diclofenac. You can also think about new brands you can also think about different brands like Tramadol. There's so many brands that can fall under painkillers. Then you can also think about flu medicines. There's so many flu medicines that are tablets like Sinarest. Then we have the flu caps, the capsules, the cold caps, the Argoplus. Also lozenges like Methoxyl. Then you can think about cough as well. There are many cough syrups that you can consider. Brozedex, Zedex. You can also think about syrups with relation to flu that are usually taken by children, like Puritex, Puritex Junior, Puritex Baby, and there are so many other antibiotic syrups as well that can treat not just flu but also infections and fevers. You can consider ibuprofen syrups for fever, paracetamol syrups for fever, and there's so many other syrups. The list is so long, and I'll provide a link in the description that you can download. But as you're considering flu, cough medicines, you can also think about antibiotics. And the most common antibiotics we have are ciprofloxacin, cefixime. Those are the most common ones, and then the list is really long. There are so many antibiotics you can add, like doxycycline. So for flu syrups, we have things like Cold-Ease, Contas, Upflu, and so many others that you'll find that I've put in the description, so you can check them out. So when you're done thinking about flu, you can think about antibiotics. Antibiotics are also a very wide range. Amoxiclav, ceftriaxone, cefixime, doxycyclines, azithromycin, erythromycin, ciprofloxacin, a lot of them. You'll find them. I'm going to attach a list below that you can download. And then you can come to think about other sundries like pads, pampers, face wipes. All those are things that add money to your business. Yes, they are not in the exact class of drugs, but when someone comes, you can actually get a considerable profit from them. You can also think about putting in some herbals like Chogero herbal soaps, Movit herbal jellies. And right now for me at my location, what is fast moving in terms of herbals is Ntale. Ntale is fast moving in the location that I am in. It is something that you could consider. You start with a few of them, and see how the consumption rate is, and then you can add accordingly as you've seen your area. Your clients will direct you and show you what you need to stock. So don't be afraid. The clients will tell you, why don't you bring for us this, or why don't you bring for us that? And that will be a better guide for you than copying and pasting from a different pharmacy's location. Another thing that you can consider stocking are pads and sanitaries. We have different brands. We have the Always Feathers, Soft Care, and so many more brands that you can stock in your location. You can also consider putting things like toothbrushes, shavers, shaving creams, mosquito repellents. You can consider putting things like toothpaste. These really add when the money in the cash flow is not only directly focused on one source, then you will have a bigger income coming in. Other things that you consider are the injectables. There are very many different kinds of injections that you can consider putting in. You will check on the list that I have linked below to see some of them that you can stock in your pharmacy. Then you can also place in cotton wool, gauze, plasters. These are also fast moving because oftentimes people that get injuries need the plasters. They need there are also fast aid plasters that you can use for people with small cuts and bruises. You can also consider stocking things like iodine tinctures, hydrogen peroxide, calamine lotion, and so many others that I have linked below. So once you're starting off, you can start off with a sample of these. Preferably you can have, if you're in a busy place, if you can have maybe three and above of each item to start with, and then when you see that it is fast moving, you can increase the number of items in your stock to as many as your demand suits. So that's in a nutshell the things that you can stock. I personally started with a stock of 3 million, and then I kept on building on that stock and to the figure that I have today. Yes, it was not enough to even fill up all the shelves, but I used a small trick, and that was, I went to different pharmacies and I got empty boxes to fill up other parts of the shelf that I didn't have drugs to put in. And when I did this, of course the place looked filled up, but we all knew that I was just trying and I was just starting. But at least now I have been able to get the profits that can fill up all the shelves, and I've kicked out the empty boxes. So that's a great thing, that you don't need to have spaces in order to start. You can fill them up like I did with empty boxes, and maybe if someone asks, you stock that particular item based on the demand. such that you can kickstart your business without waiting for something so big in the event that that big thing is not there. But if you also are in a position where you have a lot of capital to start, you can still stock up your business according to the list that I've provided in the link below. Another thing that I must say is that when you're stocking, you need to source your items from a reputable source. Manufacturers are available from your country, and even some drugs are imported, not necessarily from your country. So you need to source based on what the demand in your area is. If your area maybe has people that want drugs that are from a UK brand or a Germany brand, then you need to stock that. It's the people that you are attending to that guide you and direct you on what specific items to stock and how much to stock. So in your stock, remember that when you're buying paracetamol, you have to have different brands. You need to have the paracetamol from the UK, probably for those clients that are interested in that. Then you can have the local one, you can have the one from India, depending on really what your clients are interested in. For example, diclofenac, there's the diclofenac Denk from Germany. And if your clients are that kind of clientele that are interested in high-end kind of drugs, then you need to stock a brand from Germany. But if they are not clients that are so particular about that, then you can stock the one that you can find from your country or from another country. There's diclofenac from India, from whichever country. And so while you're stocking, consider that you need to have different brands of drugs that are from different countries according to the preferences of your clientele. You need to buy from a reputable supplier, as I have earlier stated. A reputable supplier is someone that has been in the market and is going to give you something that is good quality. Quality matters. So many suppliers will give you expired drugs. So many times I've gone to shop for drugs, and when I come back and I am cross-checking, because you've shopped for a large number of drugs, you cannot sit right there and cross-check them from right there because there are so many, and then you get back and you're cross-checking them and you find that you've received expired drugs, and you find like two out of the list are expired, and then you have to go through the whole process of starting a return. Then you plan and then you return the drugs, and then you call them and you return the drugs. It's a whole process. So if you are buying from someone that you have trusted and known that this person will always give me drugs that are not expired, because they have the clientele and they are keen enough to always go through their stock and remove the expired drugs, therefore you're confident that these people are not going to give you expired drugs, then those are the people that you can trust and buy from. Then you also need to find people that have a good competitive price. Don't buy from a very expensive source, more expensive than what is on the market, because when you come down to your pharmacy, you will also have to sell it expensively. It doesn't really work, because then if you're so expensive, you will not be able to compete in the market. Other people will be cheaper than you, and your clients will most definitely want to go to them instead of you. So buying from a source that is not going to be so expensive but is competitive and is the right price on the market, and preferably even more affordable, is better for you and for your business, because then you can put it at a slightly lower price than everybody else and attract more customers. This is a strategy that has worked for a lot of people, and it's a strategy that I'm using, where you put your price at slightly lower than your competitors, such that all the customers will be attracted to your place. And therefore, for a starting business, you can grow your clientele a lot faster than if you put your drugs at the same price as everybody else. Because remember, as you're starting, you need to find what makes you different. Why should I leave others and come to you? Why? Put yourself in the shoes of your client. Why should I leave all others and come to you? So I think for me, this has been the selling point, and what has helped me to draw clients is putting it at a slightly lower price than all others. How do you price your drugs? The drugs that you've purchased, when you get them, usually we use a multiplying factor, but it ranges from 2, it can be 2, it can be 1.4, it can be 1.5, it can be 1.3. So if your drug, for example, Panadol, like let's say example drug is 1,000 shillings. If you're using a multiplying factor of 2, then you're going to make it times 2, so your selling price will be 2,000 shillings for that item. If your purchase price was, let's say, 1,000 shillings and you want to use a multiplying factor of 1.4, then that means you'll be selling your drug at 1,400 shillings, giving you a profit of 400. If you want to use a multiplying factor of 1.3, it means that you multiply the 1,000 by 1.3 to give you 1,300, which means you'll be selling your drug at 1,300 and getting a profit of 300. So whatever multiplying factor works for you is what you can use. But remember that you have a lot of competitors around, and it's not good to put your prices so high. The advantage of having a multiplying factor is that you can remain consistent with your prices. So if I know that everything that I have bought at 1,000 is going to maybe be 1,300, then I can be consistent with all the items that I'm going to stock. Remember, a pharmacy, you're stocking a lot of items, a lot of different items, different brands from different countries, and so that consistency is important for your customers to trust you and know that whatever you're selling to them is not exorbitantly high, but that you can also still get a profit that will help you to run your business. So whatever multiplying factor works for you or your location, you can look into it and adjust it accordingly. The one piece of advice that I would give anyone that wants to start is that you can start with what you have. This is always what I say, because this worked for me. I did not have a lot at the beginning, but the more I started, the more I could see what was priority and what wasn't. In one of my videos, I've talked about the legal requirements for you to start a pharmacy in Uganda, and I think I need to let you know that anybody can start a pharmacy. You don't need to be a pharmacist in order to start a pharmacy. Anybody can do it. You can do it, and I encourage you to start, because having your own business is like a baby. Don't expect so much from it at the beginning. Be patient, understand the journey, and love the business, and you will grow.